Hey, Mecky. Uh-oh. There you go. No, that's me. Mecky, you're muted. Earth to Mecky. Oh, well. It's the Plato's Cave. It's the Dave Show. That's what it is. I don't mind the Dave Show. Used to be an old comedy sketch when one of the hosts of the pair of hosts would disappear and then it would just walk off set for a minute and then they would call it the Dave Show. I'm Dave and Mecky's muted for some reason, and this is Plato's Cave broadcasting on WCCR from Australia for Revolution Radio on revolution.radio. That's the website name, where it is home to fresh, unfiltered ideas and conversations that you find in the chat room. It's a great place to get your merch. Do get your merch. Do. Helps pay the station's way. We're $947.40 into the $2,000 requirement for the month. It costs $2,000 a month, and your donations assist that through whichever means. It doesn't matter. And I'm sure there's a way of paying a donation to the station through any medium. And I'm still surprised Mecky's not joined us. Can't hear a word. Can't hear you, Peach. Got some audio issues at your end. Try your settings. You know what? You can catch us on air, online, and anywhere on your smart device, so grab an app to listen anywhere, or just sit at home listening to a Grace Tabletop Digital Radio. Now, I'm broadcasting out of Darker John Country. Mecky's usually broadcasting from Daruk Country. Mecky and I pay our respects to elders past, present, and future. Brrr, B-R-R-R, it, without a T at the end, because that's an A10. Brrr, it's cold. It got to minus something or other in Sydney, I think, Canberra, Melbourne. I think it was only 3 degrees here this morning. It felt like it was a colder, but you know, who's going to complain? Not me. I'm not the one to complain about the temps. Just rug up. I think I've got 3 layers on without running the heater, and I'm pretty good. So I wonder what on earth is happening with Mecky. Maybe his machine is gone crazy. Hang on. Because he's usually right on the ball. He had to answer the phone. Sorry, the call. He had to answer the call, so maybe he's taking a phone call. Maybe he's currently in a meeting that's winding up. Could happen. It's a thing. Anyway, I wanted to say that we had the premiere of China in Australia. The world saw Putin in North Korea. And I don't know, is the Putin North Korea thing for munitions? Maybe vehicles? I don't know. I've seen the North Korean things. They're, I don't know, so last century. Who knows? I think munitions is probably what that conversation would be. I don't think it would be about troops. I don't know. Because they'd just blow away, wouldn't they? Undernourished. Got to weigh 20, 30 kilos only each, right? Look, I make a joke because I don't know what to think anymore. Gonna say the world's gone crazy, and welcome to you drinking your first cup of coffee in the morning, wherever you happen to be. It's 9 p.m. here, and the day was good, so you should enjoy it. I really do wonder what on earth is going on. That's what I do. I heard something about the Bank Act of 2025. Banking Act. Now, I couldn't find in Australia any of the things they were talking about on some video. It seemed like a lot of people have been searching for it. This Banking Act of 2025, where it appears to be at the onset first read through the documentation, does seem, not in our country, in the US, does seem like it is designed to transition to a digital currency. My friend went to take money out of the bank. He knows who he is. He sometimes listens to the show. And they didn't have a teller. No teller. There was no way to get cash out through a teller. You could apply for a loan. Could do that. But there wasn't ways of getting cash out of the bank in this particular bank. I mean, who does that? I thought that's what you did. It reminded me of the old days where you had a post office, but it wasn't run by the government. It was an agency run inside, say, like a newsagent. The newsagents sold magazines and newspapers and greeting cards, and you could get lotto tickets there. I'm not sure in the world, wherever you are, that you have something called a newsagent. So I'm just describing what those things are within there. And as magazines, because magazines when I was growing up, so 40 years ago, it was a thing. There was 2 huge rows. I remember the news agency I used to go to, visit all the time. It had a lotto desk at the front, and a cashier, and you read through some of the magazines, just flick through them and go, yeah, okay, that's what I want. For me, it was both. I transitioned from electronics magazines where you could, build your own things and dream about what you could build, and then there were car magazines, and that's where I transitioned to. And I love the paranormal. Those magazines were so cool. But who knows, right? Where it goes. So what happened was there wasn't a lotteries outlet, so to speak. There was just it was the news agents, right? And some of them in some small country towns where it wasn't worth occupying an entire building just for the post office, they would agent out that service at a newsagent's office or a building, a shop. And that worked really well. They couldn't do all of the things that a regular post office could do. They didn't, you could buy stamps, but you didn't have a full array of all of the boxes and envelopes and everything. You could get stamps and send some things, but they didn't necessarily send it. Someone would come by and pick it up at a certain time of day and then drive on. No, that's pretty cool. Anyway, so it's kind of like that, where this bank, an actual bank with the brand, didn't have a teller. Like, I don't know what a bank does, but apparently they do everything else but give money out. They don't give money out. I just surprised, shocked and surprised that that's the case. Who knew? Well, look, it's not going to matter, I suppose, right? When you hear me joke about it, I joke and laugh about the fact that, universal basic income is probably not far away. Digital currency, not far away. The abolition of printed money, not far away. And I'm kind of thinking that I was right when there was some clues that fell from those above us, and one of those was when the Queen passed away, and the King now, because we live in Australia, former British colony, still part of it, and we have had those discussions to split away, and they've never really gone anywhere. So here we are, still here. We have our own currency, though. It's pretty good. It's not pounds and pence and shillings and things. We've moved to decimal currency. Thank goodness. But here's the weird part. When the Queen died and the King was then inaugurated, there should be his representation on our printed money, our stamped coins, stamped out of metal, and our printed currency. But there was this really weird excuse. This excuse came from our overlords and said, well, this is the actual wording, that the currency won't be in circulation long enough. Didn't say for what. But if you look at everything that they want to do, and that's to go full digital currency, then there was no point in needlessly spending money on changing all of the plates to print the money with the king's head on it. Just leave the queen stuff there. Yeah, it's fine. So there was one set of coins. Now every year we change the 50-cent coin. There's always something new with the 50-cent coin, like the $50. Sometimes there'll be a commemorative $2 or $1 coin as well. But the 50-cent piece is the one that gets more treatment than any other in having a specialized design for a certain event. Sometimes it's the Olympics, sometimes blah, blah. Don't care. I don't care. But for them to say that the currency won't be in circulation long enough for it to matter that we have the king's head replacing the queen's head on the currency, that was one of those red flag moments. I immediately recognized it. But then, things come and go and you wonder what's next because you don't know. You just don't know. And then there's this banking after 2025. I know the WF wants to be fully digital and completely cut over probably one world order, new world order with one world currency or something by 2030. But there'll be two of those currencies because I don't think all the players in the world will accept one currency. There'll probably be two currencies. Now, will it matter? No, not a heck of a lot. Don't think it's going to matter at all. Those two groups don't mix. It's kind of like oil and water, if you will. Accept that as a description. But those two groups are, let's call it the East and the West. If you want to name it anything, something else, go ahead, feel free, type in the chat room, and let's talk about it. I'm just going to say hello to Maced139 in the chat room. A little call out to you. She'll shout out and say hello back because this is the technology we're working with. We have a chat room while we're on air, and you can talk to us. It's kind of like if you're doing a live stream to YouTube and you have a super chat or something. It doesn't cost any money. You just jump in there and you can talk to us. And if you're watching this sometime in the future, possibly now, but sometime in the future, then you can. I prefer if you liked, commented, subscribed to our channel, and shared our videos to help us with the algorithm. We do talk about a whole bunch of things. I think it's pretty cool. And something might be interesting that you might want to talk to your friends about. So the digital currency thing, it's going to happen, and I don't think there's anything we can do to stop it. I think all the money, according to our Shiny Side Out show notes, the money changes as it was in the olden days, described as those bankers. I've heard other people say banksters because they're like mobsters, but they're running banks. Their plan and the way that they make money isn't going to matter at all once we get to a digital currency. There'll be a little small transition, but for the most part, you would apply for a loan, they just type numbers in, and actually, to be honest, it's not even what happens. See, what you do in the legal papers that you accept a loan from the bank for an asset of any kind, they actually pay for it. You don't pay for it. You don't walk down down the street to the owner of the property and give them a bag full of money, or even write them a check. You're going through lawyers to do all of that stuff, and so the paperwork says that the bank owns it, and you've got to pay it. You've got to earn it back from the bank by paying them an amount greater than what they bought it for. It makes sense, right? It's usually about 100%. That's usually because of compound interest. They've got some fantastic calculators there, and that's making money out of thin air. It really is. Because traditionally they could only lend 10%. Hold 10% of the money that they had. So if I walked into a bank, any bank, and I gave them $100, they'd keep 10 and loan out 90. That's the way it used to go, because they had to have reserves. Now they don't have to have any reserves at all. All those legal requirements are gone. In the US and Australia, there's other countries that have still some reserves. But that's it. So they end up just vacuuming up all of our effort. But did they really have the money? See, if you walked into a bank and said, I want to have all my money out in cash, please, and if it was a large amount, which I don't have any money at the moment. In fact, my account's in negative. It's overdrawn. Then they would struggle to provide you an amount of cash equal to what you've got saved up in the bank, for instance. So say you had $20,000 and you go to the bank, I want all my money out in cash, good luck with that. They go, come back in a week's time, because they won't have it. They're going to move it around and order it and stuff like that. So that's the real hard part with bank runs, because that sets the stage for them not having enough. And then once you tell your friends, you know what, I went to the bank and I tried to get my money out, and they said come back in a week's time. I mean, they're a bank, right? They have other people's money in there, surely. They didn't have enough cash to give me. So that is the problem, and the instigator of what we know as bank runs, where everyone decides that since one person's failing to do it, look, before it falls over, I'm going to get in a queue and start asking for my money too. And then there becomes a sufficient amount of people that they can't ever pay that money back. It's all held in loans. They've given it out to everybody. They don't have your money necessarily sitting around unused, because that would be silly. They have that tied up in other people's loans. So eventually you could get your money. But the confidence in the bank is the only thing that's keeping it alive. And voila, that disappears really quickly within 24 hours if no one's getting their money out. And you can't even transfer your money just by typing numbers into a computer to make it move to another bank. Right? That's even worse. Then the bank's reserves of unassigned money starts to disappear. They could go into negative too, but the bank's going to prevent all trade before that occurs and pay up any other debts, try to call them in, try to get everything happening. And if that doesn't happen, then the lack of confidence actually destroys the bank. The bank's only there through faith. It's like a religion that Mackie and I have spoken about at length, and we've got 100 pages of show notes on fiat currency and fractional reserve lending, which we've now called the parasitic system. It lives only because of us. There's no other reason for it to exist. And it's not that Mackie and I, or the us, no, it's them. And where we have the money, the people have the money, and they just leech it from us in every way possible. So that's why we've got maybe a 10-15 show arc going on at the moment about fiat currency. We have touched it before, but updated information always, and changing opinions through this new information drives us to refine the show notes and bring you something which is continually valid. We don't want to let something become stale, and so we work on it. And there's people from time to time that give us new information, either personally, as is my friend today told me that he couldn't get money out of the bank, and I went, oh really, why? And he goes, oh, because they just didn't even have an ATM. They didn't have even a teller there. You couldn't go up to a person. They didn't have any cash drawers. There was nothing. He goes, they had a lounge, so you could go and sit on the lounge and wait for your appointment with someone, which you could probably apply for a loan. So rather than giving money out, they want to arrange it so they can buy your assets and you pay them back twice as much. That's really all they're interested in these days. Isn't it extraordinary? I remember when I was a kid, they had a promotion at my school where you signed up to getting a Commonwealth Bank account with a little elephant, and that was your piggy bank. It wasn't a pig at all. It was an elephant. And the elephant, you put money in, and then you would take it. Your parents would go, oh, that's pretty full now. We should take that and put it in the bank. So you did. And from time to time, you would rob the piggy bank and go to the store and buy lollies. This is what I did. And if you found 20 cents on the side of the road, you could buy a huge bag of lollies, because there were quarter-cent lollies back then. Quarter cent. Wow. That's just coins. Now, it'd be 20 cent a lolly, right? Or more. So that's not going to happen anytime soon. Now, I still don't know what's going on with Meki. I haven't received a text from him. Neither a comment in our private chat, though he is on the call. So I can only presume that he is... I can hear him moving his mouse.
Hello!
Hello! I thought
Hello.
you might be, otherwise
You
disturbed.
didn't get my text, did you?
No.
No, that's okay. I'll talk to you about this after. Could be something good for you.
Oh.
Well, we'll look, early days, but it's my apologies. I had a pressing engagement, and thank you, Dave, for dialing in and holding down the fort. Much appreciated as well.
Teamwork.
Not that you need me. it's all good. But yeah, look, I tell you what, I was going to talk tonight before I was dragged unceremoniously into another conversation online as well about the state of affairs as such as they are coming through loud and clear. And one thing that I find astounding, funny, in a way, is that pontoon that the Americans built, that pier in the Mediterranean.
Don't know.
They couldn't get enough. Excuse me. They couldn't get enough supplies into Gaza recently, as you know, right?
Oh.
And so what Biden did, he told his Navy to build a pier at the beach in the Mediterranean,
Yeah.
Adjacent to Gaza.
Lovely.
And now, what do you think that pier would cost? Just give me a ballpark if you don't know. Just curious.
Well, it depends on how big it is and what it's made
Oh, it's big.
of.
It's big, but it's not.
It's not a football field, right?
It's not a football field, no.
Right. Okay. So look, probably, I don't know, 100,000. Rookie numbers.
How? Yeah, Mike. That's not. You're not even buying a bold. No.
Are we using civil engineers or architects here?
$230 million costs. Two eye-watering sums, my friend. Eye-watering. Now, the funny thing is this, and this is really funny. This pier, this $230 million pier,
right,
can't withstand any waves higher than 3 feet. So they have to. It's completely useless, and they're now dismantling it. I'm sorry.
It'll be on eBay in a minute.
It's just nuts.
Honest-
But this is a sign of the times. I mean, we have given up on quality. We have given up on common sense and reasonability. We have given up on all the base values that used to make us great. Right? Maybe not good, as in the ethical good, but great. We were great. We were a great civilization at one point. That was striving for. We went to the moon. Well, so we think. It was a space program. We did many things. We built amazing structures on the planet. I don't see that anymore, Dave. If we can't even get a $200 million pier, right, that was meant to receive some aid for the poor Gazans, then I'm not sure how much else we have left in the tank, buddy.
Well, Flea mentioned it, $240 million down the drain, that pier.
Yeah. What? I mean, okay, rebuilding Iraq, everybody had their snout in the feeding trough. I get it.
That's right.
This is not that.
Yeah.
How much will the pier be? Oh, 20 what? 200 million. Yeah, that's it.
There we go.
That's
We can
better.
all have some of that.
Take a note, Johnson. 200 million. Oh, I asked you.
You see,
asked you.
I know that they have the engineers, civil engineers, the military engineers, right? That have they have one of those. They've got those bridges that like you can drive, like it's like individual parts of it, like trucks, and then you can formulate a bridge across a river. I thought, a pier like that wouldn't cost that much money, right? Surely, because the equipment isn't that expensive. But look, I should obviously if they got the kind of money to build that kind of ridiculous expense, then surely I'm looking for work in the wrong places.
Oh, buddy, we should be bolt fixers on that pier. I reckon. How much do you want to get paid? $500,000. Yes, very good. Got some cheap labor here for you, buddy.
I saw an expose, Mackie. I saw an expose on the Christmas Island security. I'm not going to go into it. I'll send you a link afterwards. Yeah. But the guy that got the contract, a no competition contract with the federal government,
of course,
he had, I think it was only something like $5,000 or something. His company was a brand new startup. Don't know how he got it, and he said that he needed 40 million capital to commence the work. Just to commence it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to sandwiches on the cheap, mate. You got to get sandwiches.
Yeah.
You got to get chairs. Chairs are not cheap. Have you tried to buy a chair?
He had to buy the bodyguards.
Oh, he
had to buy the guards for the security guys. They're not cheap.
They're not cheap.
All you need to do is have free Roadhouse, the movie, playing on a perpetual loop in the sleeping quarters, and that's enough. They'll just all arrive there magically like genies. Just woof. Oh, that's security guard. Cool. Because I heard this is where the movie's playing for free. Roadhouse, right? So if you haven't seen Roadhouse, see Roadhouse, and if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, it's nuts. I don't understand it. But you know what? That's how they could find no evidence of how many $1 trillion? $3.2 trillion or something, 9/11, day before.
Oh, yeah.
In the Pentagon, we can't find evidence of the spend. It's just gone.
It was spent.
It was spent.
We can't explain it.
The
You know,
front's not supposed to fall off.
if you run a company,
Uh-huh.
right? Let's say you run a company, and let's say it's a $1 billion company. Let's say, for argument's sake, right? And you go to the tax office, or anyone really, and say, yeah, look, it's $100 million. I know we had it, but now we don't have it. So I don't know, right, dude?
That's what the banks did in 2008.
Well,
They used to have a whole bunch of money.
Hey, easy. Banks are too big to fail. I mean, banks are the fabric of our
Enron.
society. Banks are the foundation of our civilization. No. Yes, you're right though. But any other company, the person in charge, with the CEO normally, right, would be locked up and charged with fraud or negligence at worst. In his fiduciary responsibilities. But in government, you remember how much they couldn't find just on September 10, right? Remember, we're talking trillions here now. Trillions.
Wow.
Trillions.
I'd have 1% of that'd be good.
That kind of money doesn't even make sense. It doesn't make sense. What do you do with trillions of dollars? Well, clearly, you lose them.
The receipts were in the shoebox, Mickey. I couldn't track.
See, people always see this. Actually, thank you very much for this, because this is very important, Dave. Excuse me, I'm still battling my cough, but everybody always says, because we talk about underground bases, underground bunkers.
Very
we talk
expensive.
about black ops, right? We're talking about bases on the moon, the secret space program, and all of those wonderful things, right?
Yeah.
And people say that's impossible. Why? Well, the first reason they give you is because people can't keep secrets. And I'll tell you right now, people can keep secrets.
Yeah.
Okay? Because the people that don't keep secrets, they're no longer with us. They're no longer with us. Because whistleblowers, or people that had amazing inventions, or whatever it might be, right? Those people, they're no longer here. And all they have to do these days is point at those people and say, look, you can just shut up and take the money, or you can end up like Bob over here. Don't be like Bob, right? With his feet sticking out of the cement.
Do you know what I say to people when they say they can't keep secrets? And I go, when did you learn about the NSA?
Yeah.
And they go, I don't know, Snowden, right? When Snowden. They go, that's really interesting, because do you know who formally founded it? It was Truman in 1952.
Aha.
They can keep secrets.
They can keep secrets. And so, look, I think we can establish here that secrets can be kept. That's one, right? And never mind all the mind control and manipulation and other things that are at the disposal. You don't have to be as killing someone. Yeah. In fact, my kids can now manipulate video footage on the fly if they want to. My kids, they're 10. They're 10. They're 10.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the second thing, though, that people say is this. Well, a lot of that stuff is expensive. And I say, yes, it is. Well, where does all this money come from? Where do you think it comes from? do you really think? And this is a quote from Independence Day, the first movie.
Oh, that's right.
When they go to Area 51.
The expensive pencils. Yep.
Do you really think that a toilet seat costs $10,000 and a ballpoint pen is $20,000? Really? Now, so that's inflation of bills, and that's easy enough to follow. But there's money that just disappears. Okay, number one, right? So there's the trillions now. We know. I mean, forget billions. Trillions have disappeared.
Yeah.
But then there's this secondary shadow economy that keeps both finance and the intelligence, oxymoron, of course, services going. And this is usually financed through illegal means, such as drugs, people smuggling, slavery, and arms dealers, etc., etc. So that there's a whole bucket of stuff that goes on to prop up those intelligence agencies, and I can assure you that there's a lot more stuff going on that props up all kinds of other stuff. Never mind the fact that these secret programs probably, most likely, use technology well beyond anything that we know or have. Well, we do know about it on the fringes. But if you've got free energy devices,
Mm-hmm.
things become a lot cheaper to do, right? They become a lot cheaper to do. And Flea is right, by the way. Flea says the Manhattan Project was worked for years,
Yeah, that's
with
right.
thousands.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, let's go back to Groom Lake, the Groom Lake facility, right?
Yeah.
People, and this is important, people were, and I think are dying of mysterious illness, right?
Yeah.
And they took the government to court and said, what are we dying of? And the court rules where you can't know. You can't, it's national security. You can't tell them.
First, where did this happen? It happened at this place here.
Which doesn't exist.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. So it can't have happened. That was
Yes,
golden
sir.
that they had to. That was what led the public to know of the address. Although we knew of its existence, but we didn't know, and it wasn't officially accepted or released information. So we weren't supposed to know it if we knew it.
Yeah. See, this is the kicker, right? And you're right, Dave. But the point is this, right? Yes, we can find these monies. If people want to do this, they can. They are finding them. It's being done. And people have a really hard time coming to grips with that. During the 2008 crisis, I know we're talking about it a lot, but it's really, really important to understand. A lot of people had a really hard time believing that it could happen. Because nobody thought that anybody would be so callous or stupid or ruthless or incompetent to let the American, and this is something that you have to really fully understand here. The American housing market collapsed. The American, and then of course there was a knock-on effect and so forth, but the American housing real estate,
Mm-hmm.
it collapsed. Millions of homes were foreclosed. Millions.
Mm-hmm.
It boggles the mind. But we've sort of glossed over it. Well, it's what house has been? What, 15 years? No, 16 years. 16 years since it happened, right? And it's not going to happen again, simply because there was no consequences for anyone. And this is really the thing. Nobody's ever taken to task on any of these things. And we just take it, okay, I guess that's okay. Well, no, it isn't okay. But we've gotten to the point now where we're so beaten down, the people, I guess, where it just sort of, the news cycle lasts maybe for a week or two, maybe a month, right? Then maybe some renewed interest a couple of years down the track. But then it just goes away. Tell me, honestly, who still talks about 9/11? Who talks about the Oklahoma City bombing?
Yeah.
Who talks about Port Arthur?
Mm-hmm.
Who? Nobody.
No one.
They talk about the Kennedy assassination once in a while still,
Mm-hmm.
but not really, but sort of, kind of. Okay? But nobody talks about those things anymore. Why? That's just not interesting anymore. There's now a generation of people that grew up in this world that just don't know any different. They don't know any different. They grew up with a war on terror. Oh yeah, we have a war on terror. That's normal. It's like you going down the shop buying a Coke. I buy a Coke, right? But for war on terror, it's like buying a Coke. It's just part of your background noise. It's where you live.
Mm.
And as soon as you start normalizing it, for you and I, it's of course hard to understand because we didn't grow up with it, right? We grew up with something called the Cold War, right? For us, that was normal.
A nuclear threat.
Right now,
That's right.
yeah. But now, if you look back at it, you think, how did we ever not have a nervous breakdown living through that? How is that possible?
Uh-huh.
Right? Because people are astonishingly adaptable, astonishingly resilient. Right? Flea is full of great comments today. Nothing will ever fix it. Not even a Conan the Barbarian being leader, singeing his sword and chopping off, swinging his sword and chopping off heads. I think that's gold. No, and maybe look, Flea. I think by and large you're correct. I remember a conversation I had years ago with the father of a friend of mine, and the father happened to read Nexus magazine, which I also read and still read.
Yeah.
And Nexus just so happened to publish a letter of mine, and the father read it, and he goes, "Mackie, is this your letter?" And I go, "Yeah, it is." He goes, "Oh, I had no idea you were interested." And he gave me a whole bunch of information on Port Arthur, the military or the ex-military gentleman's analysis. But we also discussed, what can you do? I said, well, I want to do what I can. And he looks at me, and smart guy, very smart guy, very like a real like a man type. He was a blacksmith. He was the only guy in the southern hemisphere to make kreese, the Indonesian wavy daggers.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, oh yeah, he was a very competent. I think he might still be alive. Anyway, he was a great guy, and he said to me, "It's just gonna grind you up. It's gonna roll over the machine. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do." I said, I was still full of beans. I was in my 20s, early 20s. You're full of beans. I can change the world.
Yeah.
I can do it. You can do it. We can do it together. Let's do it. But look, I don't like to admit defeat quite yet, especially when we have this platform. Right? I mean, before this, Dave and I would speak to 5, 6, 10 people a week, whatever. Now the reach is probably further, and other people are picking up. And look, there've always been people like us around, right? But more and more people are talking like this, and more people are interested in this. My nephew, who is 10, is an avid listener and subscribed on every device he has, which is awesome.
That's lovely.
I
Thank you.
didn't tell him to do it. He actually did it off his own bat. Oscar, if you're listening, thank you so much, Oscar. But yeah, it's tough though. The question is, what can one do, Dave? I think ultimately comes down, because you and I, we've talked now for 14 years.
Yeah.
Ish. 12. 14? Yeah, look, a while, a long time. But what can one really? Truly, what can you do in a non-violent manner? Of course, right? I mean, what can you do? Raise awareness, protest, vote for the people that you think can make a difference. Because if you can't change the system, you have to work within the system, right? And maybe you can, once you're in the system, maybe you can change the system at that point. I don't know, right? And just do the best you can. Be that. I mean, this is going to sound really corny, right? But be the change that you want to see.
Yeah, that's right.
Sounds corny. Right?
Yeah. Ballot box is the first place, Becky. You should always change things. Yeah.
But I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah, but when you look around, my goodness, of all the people to be leaders, the leaders that we have, except for AI, I love the leader. Everyone else is just. I'm still surprised that when Biden did that little crouchy thing, it's kind of like a toddler going poop. Right. So it just, when you got kids and they had nappies and they're just walking around and then suddenly they go into that same pose, oh man, really? So, and the cameras didn't cut away. They just like, what's he doing? And then zoomed in, and he's got that face, the face that all parents know, that is what is going on in his pants. It's like, oh, are we paying for this? Well, not Mecca and I, but the American people are. The American people are paying for that person to be there. And I think to myself, there must be a time shortly, if we get there, that there's choices to be made. I'm wondering. I'm still thinking this, Becky, that maybe they pull him from the ballot and they replace him with something else.
Look, honestly, if he were elected, right,
Mm-hmm.
he wouldn't live through the term. That's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Or he wouldn't be able to see the term through. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right now, I don't think he's quite as frail as he's made out to be. It's always the reporting is always less than flattering, but I do believe that he's quite frail, and I think it's and look. Imagine having your son in jail, in jail, in court, in jail, whatever. I mean, the stress that adds can't be healthy either, right?
No, that's right.
But yeah, look, but it can't be Camilla. Can't be her.
Kamala, yeah, you can't. They
Kamala,
can't. They can't do that.
Can't be her for because I was. Have you gone to the border? I know it's a border.
What?
There it is. I've seen it.
I don't understand what the question is. Have you been to the border? We've been to the border.
That's funny.
Okay, so wow. So the correct answer, and I know I've said this before, is yeah. Look, we admit it isn't a great situation, but I've got planned a visit soon. While some of our people have been, I haven't, but I'm getting together. That's all you had to say, and then just book it in your schedule. That's it. You can do policy on air. You can. People do it. But there's the problem, right? Didn't do it. It's a laughing stock. I think she creates her own problems. I don't think that the leadership is. It's what I would have admired. If I'm a child, seeing the leaders, I'm not admiring any of that. I think that's my take home.
Oh,
Everyone
yeah.
above you should have qualities that you aspire to.
Completely agree.
That is the thing. And when you're in that position, that's what you should be doing too. You should be inspiring people to be better people by being a better person and showing how you can overcome problems. You can be, like the water off a duck's back, all the things that make someone great. You can be that. You can. We can all be that person. We don't have to be fighting in the mud against each other because that's their design. To have us not pay attention to them at all. If you think about the horrid situation of, just imagine, worst case scenario, they've gone to the bunkers and we're left on top. We're the surface dwellers now.
Yeah, nice.
Then what do we do? I reckon if you had all the right people and you made a civilization that was behaving itself, and you just your instructions and your laws were based around, well, when they opened their doors up, they're now subservient to us. And that's the way it's going to be. We have to hurry up and get ourselves together, build a society that exceeds what they left, what they ran from. I don't think it's possible, but geez, what a great book that would make.
Oh yeah.
When they emerged into a better place than they left. Suckers. So, I watched the thing. I don't know how true it is. I have to go through it, but with a minute left, I'll hand it to you again. This was people examining video of Biden and determining for themselves through some consultation with someone who used to be in special effects for the CIA or something, that there might be more than one Biden. And I love to entertain crazy theories until it can be proven wrong. That's where I love because it doesn't sound at all plausible. But hey, what's the internet for? If it's going to be for anything, can't it be for that?
I'm with you. I think it's brilliant.
That's what I ask.
The crazier the better, in fact, to be honest.
It just keeps us busy. I don't have to worry about anything if I'm concerned with those things.
That's exactly right.
I don't want someone dancing on Ellen's show. That's what I don't want as the president of the US. And if you know who I'm talking about, then you know. Goodness me. So, today's another day. It's coming to the end of the week. This is Plato's cave. The leaders are all meeting, and NATO's doing its thing, and China's doing its thing, and Russia's doing its thing, trying to get probably more munitions. That's what I started the top of the show with. They're all doing something.
They're busy.
They're busy. Australia is trying to drum up some support for having nuclear power stations, and every single person that said no with the microphone stuffed in their face on live TV this morning was thinking, 3 Mile Island. China syndrome. That's all they were thinking in their head. None of the people were up to date with what, say, pink uranium is. It's ceramic coated spheres that only reach 700 degrees maximum because of their distance apart. They can't get any closer together because the sphere is preventing them from doing that. The ceramic coatings on the outside, very thick coating, and so that it can run without water. And these can be minute, a couple of container, 80-foot containers, a couple of those kind of stacked, and that's about the size of the whole reactor. And they're not really portable, but you could, with some engineering, and you could install one next to a mine, because they use an extraordinary amount of power in mines. And you could do that, and you could just run the mine.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't need all this water. Because they're talking about, we'll put one in Lithgow. Well, it's not got a great water source, let me tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need it with this tech. And so the entire proposal is being neighed by everybody. All the people in Australia are like, we don't want it. No. We've fought so hard for so long not to have it. We're going to have our wind and solar. Thank you. And it's hilarious. It only takes a couple of years to stand up one of the pink hydrogen reactors. It's a small portable thing. Anyway, back to you in the studio.
Tokamak. What they want is a tokamak. One of those. Actually, Mr. Fusion is what you want.
Mr. Fusion. That's it.
Put some bananas and eggshells, and you're good to go. A can of Coke.
I'm not smoking banana peels again. I don't care what you say.
Banana peels are the answer. Or potato. Potato's good, Karen. You can actually run little devices of your potato.
You can.
Make yourself a potato. Potato power. No, look. The music should be coming any moment. This has been Plato's Cave. And thank you, Dave, for picking up the beginning when I was unfortunately delayed.
Unknown.
Unknown. And something is going to come up, so don't go anywhere. This is going to be awesome, I'm sure. But most of all, be safe. And